I am Jim Collison, and this is the CliftonStrengths Podcast, Season 3, recorded on January 19th, 2024. In this CliftonStrengths podcast series, we'll look at how to feel more energized and motivated at work, one theme at a time. And today's theme is my nemesis, discipline. Doctor, if you're listening live, you can join us in the chat room, or if you have questions, you can email us after the fact, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jaclynn Robinson is our host today. She works as a senior learning and development consultant and has joined me for season 1 and 2 of the CliftonStrengths podcast, where we looked at well-being at work in season 1. And then in season 2, we looked at the CliftonStrengths role-based reports. Jaclynn, always great to be with you. Welcome back.
Hello. Good to be here, as always.
Great to have you this season. We are talking about bringing energy to work with your themes. I feel like I've been living that a little bit through this podcast series.
Yes.
Right?
It is
Just to
so
be
top
honest.
of mind for us all the time now.
Yeah, it has been. It has been, as we both have struggled as we're recording this. We've had different things going on, and so we still need to bring energy to this. Today, we are talking about discipline. Let's start with the individual. What are some ways an individual with discipline can feel more energized by focusing on their basic needs?
When things start to get busy at work, taking that pause to reestablish clear expectations for, just your performance in general can be so helpful. Think about drafting up details about those key responsibilities and priorities or the key goals that you have. And then make sure you've got those deadlines or, performance metrics in place so that you can measure really where you're at and where you need to be. And then once you have that lay of the land, it can start to settle some of the anxieties that can happen when you go, oh my gosh, there's everything, and now my schedule looks different. Um, get the lay of the land, and then you can start to make adjustments to your schedule that's going to benefit this new routine, the new responsibilities that you have on your plate.
I kind of see this. My wife has discipline in her top 5, and it's really all of them, just to be honest. She has high empathy too, and we see that all the time. So
She's our
today's,
poster person
yeah,
today.
she really is.
She's
I'll
our
have a few.
billboard.
I'll have a few things to add. I think for her, that reset, like you were talking about, of kind of getting, okay, let's get back to what's most important, or let's
Yes.
clear all distractions. Let's clean away the clutter. And I can see that happening in her at a
Yeah.
level, especially when as she gets frazzled or she gets under a lot of stress, that it kind of like that resetting to zero, right?
Yes.
I got to clear all chaos so that I physically can be at zero. Then I can move forward. And she just won't move forward until the chaos is clear. Like
Yeah.
there's even discipline in that of like, nope, not going any. It frustrates me because I'm like, can't you even do just a little bit? like can we? Nope, can't move forward until it's all clear, right? And that's not everybody, right? That's not everybody, and that's not always
Yeah.
discipline, but that's kind of plays out, kind of plays out for her that way. So with individuals with high discipline, how can they feel more energized by focusing on their individual strengths and development then?
Well, someone with this theme is at their best when there's a routine that really allows them to tackle their personal and professional goals and tasks efficiently. So whether it's a workout routine, family or friend time, having a 9 to 5 schedule, it feels like you have set hours, maybe specific nutrition habits. It's ideal to really keep track of where you're getting the most energy within your day-to-day schedule so that if things do get chaotic, you can always ensure you've built in that time for those structured and energizing moments that really help reground you. So that's what I would say.
We're talking about discipline, but in a lot of regards, coming back to my wife, she's a regular nap taker, and we're talking about
Mm,
bringing energy this season. And I
yes.
think that's one of those things. I mean, it's a disciplined, like sometimes us non-disciplined people think like kind of being lazy. you know, why are you taking so many naps? There's things to do. High activator. There's things to do, achiever. Things to do, right? There's things to get done. And yet I think when we think about that energy component, we do
Hmm.
know those naps can be helpful for her. That works, right? I know.
Yeah.
Jaclyn, respond to that as you think about giving giving back some energy, I think, or resting, let's put it that way, to get more energy and being disciplined in that. I don't know, does that conjure any additional thoughts for you?
Yeah, like what you just mentioned, because for her, it sounds like that's her reset button,
Yeah.
that kind of gets her out of rumination or that frozen sense when there's so much, you know, busyness happening around you that it can impede on the schedule. And if you don't
Mhm.
get that reset, it's really hard to even think about how to change the schedule because changing a
Mhm.
schedule, changing that predictability, that routine can be hard. So I love that for her, that sounds like her mental refresh.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
like that you brought
and
it up because
consistent.
everyone's going to have their own if they've got that discipline. There's something
Yeah.
that tends to refresh you.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
just tapped
what
into
is it?
well-being too. So it's
Right.
like, yeah, gives her energy, the reset. It helps her well-being.
Well, and certainly she leans on that discipline to be consistent with, "Hey, I'm gonna do this regardless." Listen, we've been married for a long time,
Yeah.
and 30 plus years. And I used to really give her a hard time about those naps, and she didn't care. She's like, "I'm gonna take them." That's part of who I am,
I love her.
and so it's pretty great to, and that's her. She wouldn't have the energy that she has without it.
Yeah.
When we think about individuals with discipline, how can they feel more energized by focusing on the in? Did I say this? Focusing on their individual strengths and development. Did I ask that question?
Yep, that's the
Speaking of
one. I
discipline.
know.
So let's move to the next one, which is how can they do that by building partnerships and finding purpose within their role.
Yeah, having the capability to create an organized and structured team dynamic. That is one of the ways that they can feel energized, but they're also building partnerships because they can reduce miscommunication and they can build cohesion and rapport when people have that level of structure and organization. So think about if everyone's clear on what they're supposed to do and there's deadlines in place, really gives people the clarity they need and then the freedom to go on their own and use their own strengths to get things done within that time frame.
Yeah, it discipline is individually for me when I lean on more because I don't have it. It's
Yeah.
34. Like it's all the way at the
You
bottom.
and
I
your
just
wife are powerful partnerships.
oh, it was a huge conflict until we figured that out. Like till we both got the reports and we're like, I was like, oh, that makes sense. That
No, it
makes
makes
sense now.
sense.
So
Yeah.
that's some work. I also think discipline was the one on YouTube where it said, "Yeah, Jim needs a little more work on coming up with some things about discipline because he doesn't have any." So, and that's all true. Let's talk about the manager on this because I think this is one
Yeah.
someone high with discipline can really add. And listen, all the themes can add value, but I think discipline brings in a team setting can bring a lot to a team. And so, how can a manager with
Yes.
discipline support others with their basic needs? What do you think?
I think naturally we all gravitate towards the fact that this type of manager can create a lot of structure and clarity. So people know what task they're focused on, what that deadline should be. That person with discipline is going to do those check-ins. So basic need is knowing what to do at work. But one that we might not often think about is the materials and resources piece, so they can get the work done. So this manager could deliberately allocate, those budgetary resources for acquiring and maintaining tools and technology. They could regularly review and adjust the budget as necessary just to ensure it aligns with the team's needs. So essentially create structure to make sure people are getting the resources they need because they're naturally probably going to be pretty good at already creating tasks and deadlines for folks.
Do I know what's expected of me? Do I have the materials and equipment? And I think as we think about, I did.
Ooh,
Sorry, I
balloons.
I invoked
Whose
some balloons.
birthday is it? We're going to
Two
celebrate
great
birthdays
questions,
today.
I guess, for the audio folks. They're like, "What happened?" Balloons just came up on the video, but it's a Mac specific thing because I don't have the discipline not to do that. But do I have the materials and do I know what's expected of me, and do I have the materials and equipment? And that's what I think of
Yeah.
that when you said of having those regular thoughts about the individuals that they manage to say
Mhm.
to be asking those to have the discipline to ask those questions all the time of do the individuals I'm managing have those things? And then of course Q3, do I get the opportunity what I do best every day? And I just think that
Yeah.
discipline can really bring that from a basic needs standpoint. Not that the
Yes.
others can't, but it's just a powerful aspect of discipline of making sure that's happening consistently on a regular basis in a way that's meaningful to those individuals. So I love that.
Hmm.
I love how you brought that out. How can a manager with discipline help others feel? And this may be one that's a little counterintuitive, so I'm excited to hear what you say. How can a manager with discipline help others feel seen, heard, and valued as an individual? I don't think we think of discipline in this context a lot, but
Hmm.
how can it, Jaclyn?
That discipline strength can create that structured and supportive environment where employees know that their contributions are valued, and their development is a priority. So essentially, they'll do that by maintaining clear expectations, offering consistent feedback. These are the tasks at hand, these are the deadlines. How are you doing? Where can I support? And they're fostering that results oriented culture as a result. So, those three alone, expectations, feedback, creating that results oriented culture, demonstrate the care and support that they have for their team's success and well being.
Mm. I love that. Well, needed definitely on a team to make sure performance is tracked. We know where we're going. We know what we're doing. We've got expectations going forward.
Hmm.
I think that ties into this idea of that third question of how can a manager with discipline build trust, inspire and deepen team collaboration and community. Continue along that theme. What do you think about that?
Yeah. They can serve as a driving force in maintaining that structured and quality oriented work environment.
Yeah.
So one thing they might do is create a feedback loop where team members can start to provide input on, their processes. They could suggest improvements, and then essentially by implementing those strategies, they can start to demonstrate more of that unwavering commitment that they've got to, achieving and maintaining those high standards for the quality of the team, the quality of the team's work.
Mm. You've used the term high standards a couple
Yeah,
times as we think about this. Does discipline always going off script a little bit? Does discipline always
good
come high
question.
standards, or can you talk a little bit more about that? As my coworkers are committed to
Yeah.
quality work, and again, a question from the Q12. How
Yes.
people live without the Q12, I do not know. My whole life has
Yes.
become. I ask myself questions about that as I manage myself, but talk about those high standards a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to sort between Maximizer, where we think about
Mm,
quality, and
yeah.
our Q12 survey, where we have an item about my coworkers are committed to doing quality work. Little
Mhm.
q, meaning people know what excellence looks like in the role. That's just a standard practice people need to know if they're doing poor work, good work, or great work. And so when you have someone with discipline that can create enough structure to have feedback loops in place, maybe every team meeting they leave, 10 minutes of space. It's naturally built in. They're going to stick to it because they like structure. So people can give their thoughts and share feedback and best practices, et cetera. That feedback loop is helping the team sort through excellence or quality. So thank you, because I think that is one to sort through
Yeah.
so that we don't have that confusion. And if you have someone with maximizer and discipline, then they, theme dynamics, they might really be focused on quality. But discipline doesn't necessarily have that strand so much as just the structure and predictability and the efficiency that they prefer in life to create that more controlled, predictable environment.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that's I lean on Maximizer to fake discipline. Like when I don't, because
Good
I don't have it.
one.
So I generate activity with it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I would get nothing done. Or I'd be doing a lot of things as a young adult. I did a lot of things and didn't finish anything. And as I got older, learned how to that maximizer of actually
Yes.
finishing things to get, to get it done to do because I do more with the maximizer part. And
Yeah.
so we had in the pre-show we talked a little bit about how we can use other themes to make up for that. I'm glad you talked about maximizer because that definitely
Hmm.
plays a role for me with it. Now, if you have maximizer and discipline together, you're awesome. So, let's with the last question, as we wrap this up, how can a manager with discipline support the growth of each team member? You've kind of alluded to this, but talk a little bit more about it.
They could develop structured learning plans for team members, and those plans might outline the skills and knowledge that they need to acquire, um, that next phase in their career trajectory. So if they're focused on a promotion, that outline of these are the skills and the knowledge that we need to build on so that you can get to that next step. For some, they're very comfortable in the role that they're in, and there's nothing wrong with that. But they're still going to want brain gain. So how what are, some mentorship opportunity or skills training that they can acquire so that they can continue to grow and develop and achieve their own respective goals. So I
As
think this
we
person
oh,
would just
go
be
ahead.
more structured in terms of their development plan and making sure people are on track and hitting those milestones. Don't worry, you didn't cut me off. I threw that in as an audible. I
I
was
love it.
done, and then I was
Uh,
like, "Wait a
nope, I
minute,
got one more thing to
there's
say.
more."
One more
Yeah.
thing to say. Well, obviously, the discipline is the lack of it is showing in that. As we put a final wrap, and Jack, I'm going to ask you just kind of summarize it. It is a great opportunity as we think about these themes, and as we think about the power of discipline in all of the themes. We have a responsibility in their use and how we deploy them forward. And I think we've got great opportunities here. Discipline doesn't take away energy. I think sometimes as we
Mhm.
think about it, it can be some people see it as a downer. In its positive side, everything we've talked about today brings energy, brings power, brings purpose, brings
Yes.
brings completion, brings what people need. So don't let it discipline friends. If you feel like you've been beaten down in the past, you bring energy. Continue to do that. You can bring energy with this. Jaclyn, wrap it up for us.
Yes. I think you touched on a good point there. Discipline can bring energy.
Hmm.
Discipline brings clarity and stability, which people seek in the workplace and even in their own personal lives. And someone that has discipline and uses it in a really mature way, they can create that stability, they can create that clarity, but then they'll give others the freedom to use their own talent themes to, get the work done. And then they can simply just keep them on track and do those check-ins as a support system or accountability partner, depending on whether you're a manager or a team member. So, as you mentioned, Jim, embrace this if you have it and think about ways that it can actually become the root or the foundation for teams
Indeed. Make it
or the
awesome.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, right
These
on.
don't turn off
Listen,
when you go home.
we would not be where we are today if we did not have Sarah's discipline. So it while it grinds me sometimes, it's been awesome, and I have really come to depend on it. So with that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available on Gallup Access. Check them out, my.gallup.com. If you go to gallup.com and go up to the search bar and just put in this theme, discipline, you'll see all the webcasts we've done on that. Just choose discipline theme and you'll get all the resources. It's pretty awesome. It's a pretty easy way to get it done for coaching, master coaching, or if you want to become a Gallup certified strengths coach, we do that as well. You can send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Join us for the 2024 Gallup at Work Summit if it's still early 2024, June of 2024. Afterwards, we still have stuff going on. Check it out today. Head out to gallupatwork.com. Stay up to date with all the future webcasts by searching Clifton Strengths. You can search Gallup too. That sometimes works. Get us there. You can find us on any social platform. And if you've enjoyed it, we'd ask you to hit the like and subscribe buttons and please share it. Great opportunity to do that as well. Thanks for listening today. If you are listening live, stay around for a little bit of the mid show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.